All right, what's up, guys? We are back with the final podcast episode of 2022. Will, we were this close. Literally, if we didn't both get sick, we would have had 20 episodes in 1 year, but we're going to end on episode 19 for 2022.
That's still pretty good, I'd say.
I mean, it's not bad. But before we get in, so today we're going to do just a Q&A podcast episode on Discord as well as Instagram. We asked you guys for a bunch of questions, just to, things you guys might want to know about us. We figured we'd end the year like that. But before we get into it, I just have a few quick things I want to talk about. First, I am starting a newsletter on my website. Every month, I will give a recap of any paddle reviews I did, upcoming thoughts on paddles, discount codes if I have them. Basically, just everything related to pickleball paddle gear. So if you want to stay in the loop on that, I promise I will not spam you. At the moment, it's probably going to be one newsletter a month. Just recap everything in the middle of the month or something. So if you want to do that, go to thepickleballstudio.com and then scroll down and there's a sign up for this newsletter. Second, if you guys want to support us, because a bunch of you have told us I should start a Patreon. Yes. I'm still kind of in between on if I'm actually going to do that or not. But the best way to support us is by using our affiliate links. So that would be Just Paddles. If you use any of the links in my description or Will's description, we'll both get a kickback from that. If you use code PickleballWill when you buy a melon hat, that will also give a kickback. And then basically just anywhere else we have codes. There's a Selkirk code I have, ADV-PB Studio. I have one for Carbon. If you guys are looking for any of this, it's either in the Discord server that I also launched, which if you want to be a part of that, there is also a Discord server, which now that I think about that, that link is not anywhere yet. So I don't have anywhere to push you guys to that yet. I'll have more information about that
It'll
later.
be out by the end of this.
There is a Discord server.
This episode's out probably.
Actually, I'll link it in the description. If you want to join the Discord server, you can do that in the description. It's got all the affiliate links, and inside that server, it's just a place to interact with me, talk about gear, talk about pickleball. It's been a fun time so far. People are enjoying it. So anyways, if you want to support us, just use our affiliate links until the day that a Patreon is set up. That is the best way to
and of
help
course,
us out. And
liking
then finally,
and subscribing to our channels, obviously.
That as well. If you are still listening to this podcast and not subscribed to both of us yet, I'm surprised, but also kind of impressed that you continually come back without being subscribed. So props to you. The final thing I want to say is we right now have 44 5-star reviews on Spotify, and I don't remember the number on Apple Podcasts, but there are about 700 of you that I can see who stream the podcast on these platforms, and there are also several thousand of you that listen to the podcast on YouTube. So if you wouldn't mind going to Spotify or Apple Podcasts and leaving us a review, it would be awesome if we hit 100 5-star ratings by the end of this year.
Just make sure,
if you want to do that,
sure you don't, make sure you give it 5, not 3.5, because Chris is 3.5 at best. Just make sure.
You planted it in their brain now. Someone's going to be tempted. We have this lovely 5-star streak going on, and I really am going to be sad the day it breaks. But
so
give us whatever you feel we are worth.
Okay.
Hopefully that's not 3.5 at best.
Someone's going to try and tank us just so we average out to be 3.5. Bet you.
Oh, that would be terrible. That would truly, I would not sleep at night if that was our podcast rating. That would actually keep me up.
Okay.
Okay, well, let's get into it. Let's start with the first question.
All right, let's see. The first question. This was to you. How did we meet? I feel like we've talked about this before, but the way it goes. So I was visiting Minneapolis, right? And I got a car, and then it was late at night. Chris actually pulls up. I didn't know him at the time, but like he eyed me, and I was like, who is this guy? He looks kind of funny. And then he gave me the look, and like, oh snap, we're about to race. And we were in a street race, and I smoked him. Like,
dude, but what were you driving at the time?
Yeah, I was driving a freaking Toyota Corolla Sport Edition that I got from the rental.
And I'm in a Honda Accord, so this made for the perfect race.
You smoked them. Yeah, you put your pink slips online. We talked about it afterwards, and then I found out that he plays pickleball, and I guess we decided the next day, like, you know, Chris obviously wanted revenge. He's a very competitive guy, if you guys didn't know. So
wait. Who won that?
I won that street race. Are you kidding me? Who else would win the street race?
No, that is not how I remember that story at all.
Or you could tell the story.
If I recall, what happened was I passed you, and then a cop pulled you over, and I got out and came back later.
Is that what happened? No, that cop. No. That cop stopped you. The cop stopped you. Actually, no. The cop was coming. At least I thought he was coming after me, and then I think he sped past both of us. We both slowed down, and then we thought we weren't racing anymore, but I knew we were still racing, so I decided to zoom by you, and then I said peace. As soon as I passed by you, that's what happened.
Okay, for everyone out there, all of that is completely made up. I just told Will we should make something up for how we met and make it sound more interesting than it was.
Interesting.
I don't think anyone would take us for street racers.
No. Well, funny thing is, before I moonlit as a street racer, just kidding, I don't really street race. I had some friends that did it though. But before I did that, some of you may or may not know some of my background, but I came from I got into filmmaking because I did a lot of stunt work and like action scenes and fight stuff, like Jackie Chan style type of stuff. I know some of you guys know that Chris did speedcubing, but I did a lot of stunt and martial arts stuff. You can find some of that stuff online on YouTube. Maybe we'll link it in the description in the show notes. But my buddy Joseph Lay brought me on board, and we did a lot of Jackie Chan style, like funny martial arts bits. And funny enough, my buddy Joe has stuck with it, and now he actually works in Hollywood as an action designer. So if you saw the last Shang-Chi movie from Marvel, he helped design some of the fight scenes in that movie along with his buddies at the Martial Club. And then he also helped with some of the choreography for the movie Everything Everywhere All at Once. But if you want to see me in action getting my butt whooped on YouTube, maybe Chris will link some of the videos.
I'll make sure to link it. The videos are actually really impressive. The first time I saw them, I was really impressed. But
Yeah.
Will, I mean, think about it. That could have been you in Hollywood, but instead you got stuck.
About pickleball paddles.
over
I
the
know.
phone.
Gosh, hitting a plastic ball over a net. What has the world come to?
I don't know. I think our podcast is probably better than you being in Hollywood.
No,
Let's be
for
real.
sure. There's no way I could do it.
Oh, I thought you said no, as in it wouldn't be better.
No, it's definitely better. I couldn't handle it. After like a couple of years of that. It's too hard. It's too hard on the body doing all that stuff.
Yeah.
But it was fun.
All right. Well, let's tell the people how we actually.
Okay. So after
you're actually going to remember this better than me because I don't really remember how you reached out. Initially.
So I remember. Obviously, I started playing pickleball. I got really into it, and I was actually looking to get out of video production and like photography work, that kind of thing. I was looking for like a new career path, but pickleball just kind of fell into my lap, and people were asking me about, I guess, like the chainsaw serve and other pickleball stuff, and I was like, I'll just make a video about it, and like I can do this, and I started making videos about it, and I haven't done a lot of like heavy video work in a while, and I was just scouring YouTube to see what else was out there. And then I came across one of your videos, and then I came across your social media, and I was like, oh wow, Chris does some of the best high quality like video content out there on YouTube for pickleball right now. And I just really wanted to kind of get back into the mix of things, see what's out there, because I know video production and the technology changes so fast. So I actually reached out to Chris more as a professional development exercise. Like it was like to play with him, but also to learn some video stuff and how he gets videos out and how he creates videos. And so I just reached out to him on social media. I was like, hey, it'd be sweet if we got to meet up. I'll come up there to Minneapolis, and I will like play with you. We'll do like a singles match or whatnot, and then I can learn some like video techniques and tricks from you. And Chris reluctantly.
And I was so hesitant initially because, well, here's the thing. So I had seen your chainsaw video, and I thought it was great. I thought it was really well done. I also thought you were 19 at the time. You're just catfishing people in the pickleball world. It's like, this guy's way younger than me, and then he tells me how old he is, and I was like, what? It's like, I just got catfished without the
you just got fished.
Yeah, I got fished. So I remember you asking me. And the only reason I was hesitant, well, there's a couple of reasons. One, I didn't really know you yet, but it wasn't really a lack of, this guy doesn't, there seems like there'd be a problem. You seemed plenty cool. It was more so, this guy wants to come kind of shadow me And I was like, I don't know if I'm that entertaining. I'm like, I sit in my office all day, edit some videos. I might go shoot a review, but there's not that much for you to do while I shoot the video. So I had to like really think through, okay, what can I teach this guy?
No, you were entertaining.
That was my biggest
but you were
problem.
entertaining.
I mean, it did end up being amazing. The whole trip was like fantastic. But I definitely did not know it was going to go that well.
I didn't know it was going to go that well either. And in fact, I think it went so well that I would probably say that if I didn't meet you and we started the pod and doing more videos, I don't know if I would have stuck with doing pickleball videos. I think I was still on the cusp, like, oh, this is kind of fun. I'll just play, keep it a hobby. And from time to time, if I decide to put up some rec play videos and edit it together, like it'll be fun, like whatever. I was probably still looking to, I don't know, find other means of work and income. But here we are. We have the podcast now. I'm doing a lot more videos, or at least I'm trying to do more videos.
On top of that, the podcast. So Will pitched me the podcast before he came. He said, dude, we should do a podcast. And at the time, I was still figuring out what I wanted to do in pickleball, and my time already felt pretty split because I was still doing freelance video production, trying to add in pickleball. And he said, dude, we should do a podcast. And I thought, there's no way I can add this. And I just wasn't sure. Since I hadn't met Will yet, I didn't know if it was going to work. I didn't want to commit to something. It didn't work. And then I have to tell Will, I didn't really like that. But he kept badgering me. He's like, dude, we should just do the podcast. I knew it was
going to work like from like day one, because our first couple conversations, just pickleball related, we had so much in common. We had so much to talk about, and we could talk like hours on end about pickleball, everything from not just like strategy and paddles, but just the drama that's happening, the pro scene, like just everything pickleball related. And I was like, why wouldn't we just record this and put it out there? It was so easy to talk about and to do. And I just kept on egging you on, and you finally caved in. And now we're at 20 episodes minus one, to your dismay.
That's why, yes, to my dismay. It ended up being really good. Whole trip was awesome. Obviously, we've got the podcast now, and same thing as you. I mean, I think I would have stuck with doing pickleball content. I was pretty dead set on making this a career path, but meeting you, Kyle, Shay, and any of the other content creators, obviously you three, because that's the ones I talk to the most, it's made it infinitely more fun to be making content. It feels much less of a lonely journey when you have someone to bounce ideas off of, kind of be creative with. It just worked out way better than doing this solely on my own.
For sure. So that is basically how Chris and I met. I basically hit him up on social media, convinced him to take me under his wing, and then I convinced him to play me in a one-on-one where I totally destroyed him. And the rest is history. Yep.
That is unfortunately how it went. And now we're here.
I still think it's funny that people like know us more or less from the pod, and people like come up to us at like tournaments and whatnot. People have come to ask you for your your picture and your autograph now, which is like, what?
I know. It's super weird. I mean, I'm a little used to it because of speedcubing, but I didn't know when or if that was ever going to happen in pickleball. So it's kind of weird because I still feel not like a nobody. I understand people are aware of who I am, but I still don't feel like a high profile thing in pickleball. So it's still kind of weird. But
all right,
I don't know.
We'll go to another question.
But real quick,
go ahead.
Yeah, I want to hop into one of the ones that someone asked for me. This was, can you explain swing weight? And I've been meaning to make a video about this, but a podcast will be a good way for me to just ramble this out there without having to be super perfect with my explanation. Okay, swing weight is, in my opinion, the more important measurement than weight alone. So there are three things when looking at a paddle. There's the static weight, how much it weighs. That's what everyone looks at. Swing weight, and then there is the balance. Balance is not something that's talked about at all in pickleball, but I'm hoping to change that soon. We're working on that. But anyway, swing weight, basically what it is it takes weight and balance into account, and then that's how hard is it to swing the pickleball paddle through the air. Because if you guys have hit enough pickleball paddles, you may have realized two 8.5 ounce paddles are not the same. So if you take an 8.5 ounce Hyperion against an 8.5 ounce gearbox, the gearbox will feel significantly easier to swing. And that's because more of the weight is balanced towards the handle and the Hyperion is balanced towards the head. So the further away from your hand the weight is, the harder it is to swing. And that's why the Hyperion feels so difficult to swing and a gearbox feels so easy to swing. A lot of people attribute it to it doesn't have an edge guard, it's thin, and those things probably help when cutting through the air, but it's really because the balance is towards the handle. So when you guys hear me talk about swing weight, a lower number means it's easier to swing. Higher number means it's harder to swing. Higher also means you can plow through the ball better, and typically you will have more power. Not always, but that's typically how it goes. And the lower the number, it often means you will have less plow through on the ball. It's harder to generate power, but your hand speed is going to be faster. Those aren't hard and fast rules, but typically that's how it's going to go, because the lower the swing weight is, the ball, when you hit it, there's more resistance from the ball hitting your paddle and like twisting it or potentially making it hard to go through. Whereas if there's a bunch of weight in the head, it's just going to plow right through it. And the best real world example I can give to you is take a hammer. The weight does not change no matter how you hold it, but put the head, the heavy part, in your hand and swing it around. And now take the handle, like you're regularly holding a hammer, and swing it around. And it's going to feel harder to swing because the weight is further away from your hand. So that's basically swing weight in a somewhat short
that
answer.
was good. I also think, just to go back, just to add to that about plow through, I don't think it's used as much in pickleball, but it's used more so in tennis. But I would put plow through akin to how, like, once you get the swing going, right, how easy is it to stop the swing? And that, I guess that momentum carries through the ball. So I would say, back to kind of your analogy with the hammer, like imagine if you had, I don't know, a plastic baseball bat and you're swinging that through as hard as you can. In mid trajectory, you can probably stop that or change the swing path a little bit and take, let's say, a sledgehammer. Once you start swinging that sledgehammer, it's going. Like, it's really hard to stop. The momentum, it's not stopping. The momentum is going to carry through the swing and then through whatever you hit. So that's plow through.
Yep.
All right.
Yep.
All right.
Totally. All right. What's the next one?
Going back to paddles, we'll do a quick one. This one is from Nips Flips. I think this is Robert Dibb, who's from my area, but he says, who has more paddles and who has hit the other player more?
Okay, I definitely have more paddles. I'd be willing to bet that I have 6 times as many paddles as well.
Hands down. I think I did.
How many do you think you own?
How many do I think I own? I would say I probably have maybe 20 to 25 paddles.
Yeah, I'm at probably 150 or 160.
It's ridiculous. I'll have to edit another quick little video and put it up on social. I did edit another video, like part 2, how many paddles Chris owns, and just show you. It's crazy.
You know what you got to do? We need to take them all to a court, or even just outside in the giant field next to my house. Lay them in a line and just walk through all of them as a close-up, and you just see how long of a never-ending line it is.
See how much surface area that it takes. That will the amount of paddles Chris has covers 3 full pickleball courts. The amount of paddles that Will has covers just the kitchen of 1 court. That's how it is.
That would be a really funny way to measure that.
That is the difference.
Actually.
That is the absolute difference.
We should try that.
Second part of the question: who has hit the other player more? I'm pretty sure I've hit Chris a lot more. I think.
You want to know why you hit me more?
It's because of that video I made.
Yes, because of that video where you had to body bag me like 20 times. You're like, nope, that wasn't a correct take. Let me hit you again.
If you guys haven't seen, one of the first videos I did with Chris was top 3 tips for fast hands, and he's actually in the thumbnail. And for that video, it's actually a pretty funny video. You should go check it out if you haven't already. But yeah, for one of the clips, one of the funny bits, Chris had to basically get body bag, like hit in the face and the chest, and he was deathly afraid. But I put a disclaimer: there's no YouTubers that were injured during the making of that video, at least from what I thought.
Well, maybe not physically, emotionally, maybe.
Good times. Good times.
All right, what do we got next?
Okay. Let's see. Let's go to one of your other questions. This is a quick, easy one. Do you and Will ever plan to play tourneys together? Do y'all ever want to enter the pro division?
We will definitely be playing together. I thought we would be playing Arizona Desert Ridge together, but I
ditched him. Well, I promised my buddy Donko a while back that if we go back to Arizona, that I'd play with him. So yeah, you've been you've been ditched.
I don't see you having a podcast with him. You know what? Your friend Justin that I will be playing that tournament with, he's going to be the new podcast host. You can go start a podcast with your friend.
Justin would actually be great to have on the pod. He'd be hilarious, honestly. Okay. So,
and then the second
pro
half.
division.
So I would love to play a pro tournament. I just don't know if it's going to happen because I say I want to do it, but my actions don't necessarily reflect that. I am reviewing paddles so much that when I go to play pickleball, I drill maybe once a week right now. I'll get up 6 a.m., go drill with a buddy, but I'm still usually testing a paddle. So I'm not even fully there just to drill. So I don't feel that I am improving at the rate to get to pro in any meaningful way. But Kyle, our friend, that pickleball guy, does give me some hope that it's possible because the guy pumps out tons of content and he's literally playing pro events. So if there was any perfect model of me potentially ever playing pro, it's him.
And Shay
I have
too.
the desire to do it. Yeah, Shay. Yeah, Shay
Shay's
too.
on his way.
So I think it's there. It's just a matter of priorities. I think Kyle and Shay would probably prioritize pro higher than content right now, but I prioritize the content much higher than pro.
As for me, I've thought about it, dreamt about it, but same thing as Chris. Like for me to get to that level, I would have to just drill and practice just so much more, and it's only getting harder. I think sometime this year I'm going to try and play in one pro bracket just to see what it is. But I go to play pro for different kind of reasons. I think it'd be cool, but really it's just to challenge myself and play really high level play. And I can kind of still do that with rec. Like I've had a chance to play some pro level players and that's kind of scratched my itch. But to actually compete in a pro bracket, we're working towards there, but it's not high on the priority list. But I do plan on trying to play one pro bracket this year. But before I do that, I need to do better in 5.0. I know I have the skills for it, but it's just a mentality thing. So those are your answers for if we're going to play together and if we'll be looking to play pro division. Maybe we'll play the pro division together. Maybe that'll be the first one.
That would be legendary.
Yeah, going 0-2, the most legendary 0-2.
Well, first we would play James Ignatowicz. We'd beat him and then go
easy.
Yeah. All right, what do we got next?
Another one for you, Chris, real quick. Is Chris bald? He always wears a hat. Show the people.
I thought this question was so funny. My hair is probably so flat right now. But yes, I do have hair. I just always wear a hat because I used to do a lot of stuff to my hair. I'd put some stuff in it, kind of put it up. And then when I started playing pickleball, my hair, just because I sweat so much, it just ends up looking terrible. So I'd rather just wear a hat. Plus, it does block the sun out of my eyes. I don't know. It's a combination of things. It's laziness. I can go longer between haircuts by wearing a hat. I don't have to do anything to my hair, and I just genuinely enjoy wearing it for pickleball. It also keeps the sweat out of my eyes. That's actually a big thing. Whenever I cut my hair short and then go play pickleball without a hat, my eyes just have so much sweat.
No, fair enough. I think that's why most people. You don't want to just why don't you just wear a headband instead? Go.
I used to wear them in tennis, but now I just prefer how I look with a hat. I feel silly.
Oh, really?
Headband.
You don't like the Jay DeVilliers Karate Kid look?
Yeah. I can't do it. I can't pull that off.
Okay. All right. Next question. Let's see. Let's go one for me. This is from Larica or Lay Erica. I'm sorry if I don't know. Anyways, is it essential to have a two-handed backhand to play at higher levels?
Essential? Yeah. No. Is it going to help a lot? Yes. Especially if you're talking singles.
Yes, I agree. I think at higher levels, it's not necessary. It also depends on what you play, if you're playing singles or doubles, but I think it is crucial to have a two-handed backhand now. The balls are getting so heavy with spin, and if you're doing the one-hander being stretched out, it's really hard to control the ball. And without strings, right, it's really hard to shape the ball to gain spin and pace. Like a good example is Christian Alshon, who's making the waves on the pro tour right now. He only had a one-handed backhand coming from tennis, but he recently started learning and adopting a two-hander because it's just harder to generate that pace and that spin with the one hand without strings, even with the paddle technology getting so good that you can generate more spin. But I think you just need it. And the extra two hands is really helpful for, I guess, resetting your paddle back into a neutral and ready position, in my opinion.
Yeah. Tyson's the best example we have of not needing to have one in order to be good. Obviously, Tyson's great, but I anticipate one of two things. Either paddle technology will advance so much that the one hand is feasible, because I've seen a couple clips of some really disgusting one-handed backhand players. So I think it will eventually become more viable, but currently I think having a two-handed backhand is awesome. And I've been working on mine for, most of this last half of the year. And, it's finally getting to a place where I feel pretty confident with it in general. And I think it has helped a lot in singles.
Think it also depends on the shots that you're doing as well. I know, let's see, like you said, Tyson, I think, Jay DeVillers still has a one-hand backhand, but even when you're dinking at the kitchen or whatnot and you're being stretched out, if you have two hands on the paddle, I'm starting to do more like two-handed dinks and playing around with my short game, because it forces you to move your feet to get in a better position.
Oh, you have to.
Yeah, because you have to. You can't cheat it and stretch out. And when you use a one-hander and you are lazy with your footwork and you have to stretch out, you put yourself in a bad position or in an awkward position, and then you're more susceptible to being attacked. So, yeah, I think two-handed backhands, I think if you have it, great, use it. If you're just starting out, you should try to implement it and learn it now so it's not too awkward to transition later. But not to say the one hand is not viable. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Let's see. Let's go something that you have. When will the Zane doc come out?
The Zane doc will hopefully be done in January, because I am going to pause almost everything minus the podcast, and I'll work on some reviews, but my sole focus in January is going to be finishing that documentary before MLP.
All right. Well, we're all looking forward to it. Let me know if you need help with that. All right.
Yeah,
all right. Definitely. Next question. For you as well. Only one paddle for the next 3 years. What would it be?
Oh, gosh, that's so hard to pick. Oh man, I really don't know what I would pick. Geez, it depends. Do I get new ones or not? Can I just replace the same one when it dies, or am I literally stuck with that one?
We'll say you can replace the one when it dies.
Okay. My top three would be, oh man, that's really hard. Okay, my top three would probably be 003, Pro Kenix Black Ace, and third would be between a Carbon 1X or a Hyperion, probably.
Ooh, okay. Those are some good ones. Let me see if I had to pick one paddle for the next 3 years. With the paddles that I've hit with right now, I think it would be Hyperion 14, Selkirk Power Air, and maybe I'll probably say the Diadem Warrior, the original Diadem Warrior. Those would be some of mine.
Yeah, Warriors solid for
all
sure.
of them. Okay. Next question for me. Let's see. Okay. This is from OBCX. Left-handed match, best of three. Who would win? Me or you?
Dude, I think it would just be a wreck either way. I honestly don't know who would be better, because we've messed around lefty for a point or two, I think. But I don't know. I don't think my left hand is that amazing, but I anticipate that Will's would be equally as bad, and we'd be on an even playing field.
I think mine would be a little bit better than Chris's, but it would be bad. It would not be a pretty game to watch.
We'll try this the next time we see each other. I don't know if we'll film it, but we'll at least play it and let the people know.
Okay. All right. Yeah.
Real quick, I want to do this one. Someone had asked me, how did your parents respond when you didn't go to college and wanted to do video full time? This is actually a pretty good question, because I guess it's just a decent story from when I was growing up. So when I was getting close to finishing high school, I didn't really want to go to college for a number of reasons. One, I knew that I wanted to do video, but before I knew I wanted to do video, I didn't really know what I wanted to go to college for. And to me, I didn't want to go into debt. I didn't grow up particularly wealthy or anything. So the debt made no sense to me. I watched all my friends who were swimming in debt and always complaining about it. So that didn't make sense to me.
That's me.
And if I didn't know exactly what I wanted to go for, if I didn't know what I wanted to go for, why waste the money on it? So once I got into video and I was essentially already working in the industry, I had some mentors. I had done an internship. I was already doing my own freelance stuff. I had just decided, okay, I'm going to skip college and I'm just going to pursue running my own business. And the reactions throughout my family and friends were so split. My mom was fine with it. I think she was maybe a little worried, but her thought was always, as long as you have a plan and you're making goals towards it, fine, do whatever you want. Other areas of my family were not supportive at all. People thought I was crazy, thought it was a terrible idea. My favorite story to tell is actually I was at a friend's grad party. We were graduating at the same time. And his uncle came up to me and asked, so, like, what are you going to do? Where are you going to college? And I said, oh, I'm not going to college. I'm going to do freelance video production. And he looked me straight in the eyes and said, I would highly recommend you don't do that. There is no money in freelance video production. And if you don't go to college and get a degree, I guarantee you will never make any money. And I was like, holy, and at the time, that used to really bother me because I had a ton of people trying to discourage me from doing that. And at the time, I didn't really know how well or not well it was going to work. So at the time, it kind of hurt. But now I just look back and I laugh. I'm like, dude, I made a Netflix documentary. Yeah. I've ran a successful business for who knows how many years now. I'm doing pickleball stuff. It makes me laugh.
Yes.
Yeah.
Did you go back and show him your bank account from all the paddles affiliate links you made?
Dude, if I just showed them my bank account in paddle net worth, I think I have probably 20 or 30K in paddles.
I believe it. Actually, no, I've seen it, so it's true.
Yeah, you've seen it. So, yeah, that's my college story.
Speaking of, I guess you go into video production, someone also asked you, what's your current camera setup right now?
Yeah, so I have 4 cameras. Yeah,
4?
That's so stupid. Yeah, I know, it's so stupid. I shouldn't have 4. I have the Sony FX30, which I got to record the podcast on, as well as help do my spin tests. I have the Canon R5. I have a Canon 1DX Mark II.
You still have that?
I do. I can't, dude. You literally can't get rid of it. I'm telling you. I tried to sell it, and no one will buy it. And you have to sell it so cheap. If I sold it for about $1,000, someone will probably buy it. But at that point, I have so much sentimental value from that camera because of shooting my first documentary with it and a bunch of other things that I'm like, it's not worth selling it for $1,000.
That's what it's like going for right now. That camera, isn't that camera originally like $4,000?
$6,000, $6,500.
Crazy.
And the reason is
crazy.
Even the Sony FX30 that I'm using right now, it essentially does everything the 1DX Mark II does and more. The only thing it doesn't do
at a third of the price.
Yeah, at a third of the price. So that's why no one's gonna buy it. And then my last camera is the Blackmagic Pocket 6K Pro, and I want to consolidate some of these. I don't need the 1DX Mark II, but I'm gonna keep it for sentimental reasons. The Blackmagic, I probably don't really need anymore, to be honest. But I like keeping it around in case I'm gonna do a more serious video project. So yeah, those are the cameras I own right now. I don't really need 4 though.
Gotcha. Well, I've actually been looking for a long time since I've been looking to upgrade my camera setups, but I only have 2 cameras. I have a small point and shoot Sony ZV-1, which has a flip out screen in which I record the pod mostly on. And then I have a Sony A7 III, which is, I don't even know how old that is now. 3, 4,
something like that. Yeah, it's a number of years old.
Yeah, but it's still like capable, and I've been thinking about upgrading, but it's been low on the priority list because I can still kind of get done what I need to get done with what I have. So not a big deal. And plus, camera gear, as you heard from Chris, can be quite expensive.
Oh gosh, yeah, it's a never. If you guys think pickleball paddles are expensive, take up camera equipment or photography or video as a hobby, and you guys are gonna laugh at the prices of pickleball paddles.
Yeah, for real. Okay, we're gonna go to, let's see, another strategy related question from Z2E, I think. Okay, anyways, do you think the third shot lob is a viable option?
Oh, 100%. I think it's hilarious. Earlier this year, everyone laughed at the shot, thought it was stupid. Why would you use it? Everyone was against it. People like Callan Dawson, Matt Wright, and a number of other pros started using it a lot more. And suddenly everyone goes, yeah, this is an amazing shot. And I even remember thinking, yes, this shot, it's high risk, high reward. If you get them off the kitchen line, that's amazing for you. It makes them work back up, but you could just screw it up and they hit an overhead. So you have to weigh the pros and cons, but I think it's a great shot.
Yeah, no. For the third shot, I'm not too entirely sure. It depends on how quickly your opponents like to move.
Hold up. Did they say third shot lob?
Third shot lob, not just a lob. Okay. Third shot lob.
I was just thinking a lob at the kitchen line. Okay, third shot lob. I definitely see that as less valuable, less viable, but I wouldn't put it out of the realm of being useful. I just think in general, hitting a third shot drop and getting to the kitchen line is probably going to be better than hitting a third shot lob and potentially getting an overhead back at you.
Yeah, I would say so as well. I think the third shot drop or the third shot drive is much more viable, but if your opponents like to rush that kitchen line, right? Or you hit a, I guess, shallow return and they're already up at the kitchen line. Yeah, I think you could totally do it, and you could throw some people off. I wouldn't just do it all the time, just because you're already back, and then if you give them an option for an overhead, you're in trouble. However, the first person I saw do this, I'm pretty sure I've seen somebody else, but the first memorable person that did this, and I was actually playing with him, is actually Jordan Briones.
Really? That's hilarious.
I played with them, and each time we got to a match point, he's like, "Will, you know what time it is?" And I'm like, "What?" And then he would, every single match point, third shot lob, and it would get them. No one's expecting it.
The one exception I would make, and I don't think that it's necessarily a better shot, but I'm just thinking viability. I feel like in singles, it would be interesting because you always rush the kitchen, and they have so much more court to cover that if you lobbed it over their backhand or something, I think it could be interesting. Obviously, if they get an easy overhead, you have more court to cover yourself, but I kind of think it would be easier to hit that shot in singles than it would be in doubles, and potentially provide more value.
Yes, no, totally agree. All right, well, this is kind of a follow-up into that. Somebody asked, what part of my game do I need to excel at to get to your 3-5 level? I think he's referencing you, Chris.
We can't be sure that he's talking about me. But here's the thing you guys have to understand.
Yeah.
To get to the level of 3-5 that I am, I'm not even sure it's possible. I've ascended to the highest levels of 3-5. When people say they're 3-5 and I show up to an open play, it's not fair. It's not the same kind of 3-5. There's divisions of this. And if you want to learn more, if you want to learn more, you can sign up for my master class. I'll leave that link in the I'm just kidding.
Yes. You have to say 3-5, but how many decimal places are we actually going? How many, where does it round out? You could be 3.50009 something. That'd be higher than all the rest of the 3-5s out there. That's what you're saying.
Yeah. I can't even give advice on that one because it would just be too hard. I don't even know. I don't know how I would explain it.
Yeah.
Got to be born with it, Will. Real quick, so we don't have to pop up to this section of the list anymore.
Yeah.
Someone had asked, what's my current involvement in speedcubing? For those of you who don't know, prior to Pickleball, I was in speedcubing, which is just solving Rubik's Cubes as fast as possible. That's what I did for 12, 13 years of my life, competed heavily in that. I was world class at doing that, held a couple world records. You
should show him. He's in the World Book of Guinness Records, but he's actually not in there for having a record. He's there for being the friend of the guy, was it Max, who holds the most records in speedcubing. So I thought that
basically I got mentioned because the guy who is the best right now, the Netflix documentary I made was about him, or that I was a part of. I don't want to make it sound like I made the whole thing. I was just the cinematographer for the documentary. But I got mentioned in there, the whole page is about him, but then there's a picture of me and the Netflix documentary that's like, hey, Chris Olsen helped make this.
It's pretty cool.
No, it's pretty sick. But my involvement these days is very little. I don't keep close tabs on it. I'll go to a competition if it's a local one and, you know, compete, say hi to some friends, but I'm not traveling for it. If I'm going to travel, I'd rather travel for a pickleball tournament. So involvement is little. I still solve it. You know, I'll have one in my hands. I'll bring it to a party or something just to keep my hands busy. But otherwise, yeah, not too much.
You should definitely post up a clip that you showed me of you when you were like 12, 13 years old trying to solve the cube like blindfolded, and you were so stoked when you got it and so pissed when you didn't. Like you opened up your blindfold.
Oh,
yes!
that one.
And you're like, no!
Yeah, when I was solving a 5x5 blindfolded, that was a dreadful time.
That
was horrible.
hilarious.
Anyways, what do we got next?
Let's see.
We probably will on some of these want to go a little quicker. Otherwise, I think we are going to have a big episode.
Big one. You're right. Or you're right. I don't even know. There's so many to kind of like go through.
I think at this point, just go straight down the list.
All right, let's do it. What level does a paddle start making a difference?
Oh, that's actually a really good question. And I'm curious what you think.
Okay.
So my opinion is at 3.5, the paddle, you should have a paddle that makes you feel comfortable. You can have, I think there are paddles that are just wrong for you and will hurt your game, but the paddle is absolutely not the reason that you're not improving or that you're losing to people. I just think there are certain aspects of the game that may be harder. I wouldn't personally recommend a black ace to most 3.5s. Doesn't mean you can't use it or that it's not the right paddle for some people, but for most it would be bad. I also think a wooden paddle would not be good for you, or an Onyx Z5. Onyx Z5 is not good for anyone though. So I think it makes a small difference there, mostly just being comfortable with a paddle. And then 4.0, I think it starts to make a bigger difference. I think there are certain shots that are going to be harder to hit if you're using the wrong paddle, or you're not going to feel as comfortable. And then I think it's pretty similar 4.5 and up. Anyone can make any paddle work, but I think you won't have to work as hard on certain aspects of your game if you're using a better paddle.
Okay. So my thoughts on it are, I think if you're completely new, like, you know, you're like,
Doesn't matter.
2.5, 3.0. Yeah, it doesn't really, I think as soon as you start hitting 3.0, 3.5, it makes a huge difference, like to upgrade, like once you kind of know the game, to upgrade from, let's say, a wooden paddle or whatever paddles you got at Walmart or wherever to a higher end paddle. I think I personally think between 4.0 and 4.5, it actually doesn't matter all that much.
Really?
Yeah, when it starts making a meaningful difference, I actually don't think it makes that much of a difference. You're not at the skill level, and I think most 4.0s are not at the skill level. I think that it makes so much of it. Like you can almost, if you get, because there's so many paddles out there and it's being essentially commoditized, right? And the paddles are just getting really good, right? They're getting very comparable. I mean, look at the reviews that you're doing. Like a lot of these paddles are coming out, they're very similar. So I feel like they don't.
Let's make one thing clear, I guess.
Yeah.
Are you talking about after a certain threshold, or are you saying at 4.0 and 4.5 it doesn't matter at all? Like, would you, like a 4.5 with an Onyx Z5, you don't think they'd be better off with a Hyperion?
That's what I'm saying. So what I'm trying to get at is thresholds. So that 3.0,
yeah, I agree with that.
Once you pass that 3.0 mark, you know, and you switch paddles, it makes a big difference. Once you passed, you know, that 4.0 threshold, I personally feel it just becomes preference, and you're really like, you're really picking out hairs to try to say like this one is objectively so much better. Like the margins that you get for improvement by switching a paddle are very small. And then the next threshold, I think, is the pro level, because all the people are so athletic, their hands are so good, and you are really trying your best to eke out as much performance from your equipment as possible. So I'd say like the thresholds are 3.0, and then like 4.0, and then like 5.5 plus. That's my opinion.
I think once you pass the 150 price category, assuming you didn't pick a bad paddle, it all gets pretty negligible. Like if you were using a Halo or a Head Radical Tour Co., as long as it's not the completely wrong paddle for your play style, it's mostly going to be the grass is greener on the other side for the most part.
Yep. That's what I have. Grass is greener on the other side syndrome.
There is.
All right, next question. Should you get a paddle that helps your weakness or your strength? That's a very interesting question.
That is a really, when I saw that, I thought that was pretty fascinating. And I think it just depends on the player. I usually opt for enhancing my strength rather than covering my weakness. So I feel I'm a better control player, keeping the ball in, resets. I don't think I'm a particularly strong or powerful player, and I've just accepted that. But on the other hand, then I ended up enjoying the black ace, and now that helps cover my weakness. So I think it just depends, honestly. Usually I've leaned towards enhancing my strength rather than covering my weakness. And then I should just fix my weakness.
Yeah, I would agree on that for the most part. I think it kind of comes down to what's winning or losing you more games. Is your weakness losing you more games than your strengths are winning you more games, or is your strength winning you more games than your weakness is losing you more games? So I would make my decision based on that. But for the most part, I would say something that promotes your strength is probably better, and you should just work on your weaknesses, just as a rule of thumb. So that's our opinions on that. Let's go to the next question. Best or worst paddle stack setups you've seen?
So like community ones at a rec park. So I can't say I've seen a ton, but I clearly was spoiled in Minnesota because every place we go, we have paddle rack setups, like properly built ones that you stack 4 paddles in. And then I go somewhere, say California, and people just slap them on the ground, and I show up and I go, I don't even know where I'm supposed to put my paddle. Is this the front of the line? Is this the back of the line? People are moving paddles around. So that's confusing to me. I think the worst ones are just where there's no rack and people are putting them on the ground. A lot of times that's confusing to me. And then the other side of that story is there's a park in Kansas, whenever I go play with my mother-in-law, that has a properly built rack setup and
they don't
awesome 8 light courts, and they don't use it. Their rule of thumb there is you play until you're done. If you see people waiting in a line, too bad. I'm here until I'm done.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. It makes no sense to me. It's a lot of new people there, though, so I think they just don't know.
No. Okay. Well, it'll get there eventually once those courts are overrun. Let's see. I've had similar experiences to you. I will make note that my favorite or most intriguing paddle setup was when I was in Seattle and went to Green Lake Park, where I typically play when I'm there, and they have this compass system. I think I mentioned it in a previous pod, but basically imagine you have a compass, north, east, west, south, or whatever, and basically wherever your handle points to is where you play. So north is beginner, imagine beginner, and then if you go clockwise, so east is intermediate, south is advanced, and then west to the left is first time, right? So you stack your paddle with your handle facing the cardinal direction that correlates to what skill level you think you are. So when you look at a stack, you can be like, oh, these are a bunch of intermediate players. I can play here. Or if you see there's a bunch of beginners, like, okay, maybe you don't want to play there. It just kind of helps separate so that the skill level is more the same. And then if you're intimidated and it's your first time, right, you don't know where to go, you just find a stack where the beginners are, and then you can go play with them, and then you get a feel, and then you can kind of go from there, which I think was pretty cool.
So I think in theory that thing is awesome, but what I found, especially here, dude, as soon as you put the word advanced anywhere, everyone's like, "Oh, I'm advanced." Lifetime when they're so I don't go to them, but I've been to a few of them, and then I know people who went recently. But if you sign up for the 4.0 advanced open play, I am telling you right now, 80 to 90% of those players 3.5 or lower. Every single time, it is the most low-end advanced open play I've seen. There's maybe a few good players.
I can see that. I can see where that becomes a thing. People don't want to be, seen
the beginner or the intermediate.
Right. Well, just swallow your ego and your pride, because most of you guys out there are probably not as good as you think you are.
Embrace it like me.
That's right. Me included.
Best, just like me. I wake up in the morning, look in the mirror, 3.5 at best.
I'm glad you're leading into it. This is great. The legend continues. Okay. What are some of the things you wish you'd known early in your pickleball careers? It's very.
Oh, man. That's a hard one.
We have a career?
We do, Will. We do. Honestly, I don't really know. I know this is asking for pickleball specific advice.
Yeah.
But I don't even think that's where my brain would want to go. I feel like
all
it
right,
would
well,
almost be something about the business.
Let's see.
Do you have an answer?
I'm assuming this is about us being. Is this us about being content creators? I guess, or is it career as I'm playing?
I think the way I interpret the question is just about playing. Like, what do you wish you knew sooner?
All right, what did I wish I knew sooner? I think the thing that I wish I knew sooner was to keep it simple, like not like force things, right? Because, and I still do this now. I try to force a lot of shots, put myself in, bad scenarios or positions, and I end up losing. I mean, I have a lot of fun, but I end up losing. But there's some times where I am playing just so solid, like it's lights out. Like the one time that I remember when I played lights out was in Atlanta. I was hanging out with Shay, and we stopped by in Atlanta to play with Danny Warfel and Brian. Oh my gosh, Brian, I forgot Brian's last name. Brian Klein. He's the new CEO, interim CEO of MLP. But we played against them, and I was playing lights out. I don't think I made any mistakes, and I was just crushing it for the first 3 games. Shay was like, "Holy crap! Well, I've never ever seen you play like this good," and I was like, "Me neither."
Yeah, you're like never.
Yeah.
I think my biggest thing is, and I feel that I was pretty aware of it, but I guess my advice would be just being aware of when you're wanting to play with better players, because a mistake I see people make all the time is they want to play the better players. They don't want to play the people they're playing against. I can't improve with these people. I have to play better people. And they kind of force themselves into your group when you're missing one, and it's awkward for everyone. Here are the things I would say. If you get the chance to play with a better player, you better hit that ball to the better player, because what I see happen all the time, myself included, I've experienced this so many times, is people play in our group and they will hit the ball. Maybe I have one other, maybe there's 2 strong players and 2 weaker players.
Yeah.
They always hit the ball to my weaker partner, and then when they win, if they win, they say, I knew I could, beat Chris or beat whoever. And it's like, dude, I hit 2 dinks that whole game. What do you want me to do? So I just think if you get that opportunity, test yourself. That's why you're there, is to play against the better player, and then you end up hitting the ball to the weaker player. So that annoys the better players, and then they don't want to play with you. So I highly recommend don't do that. And also, I think a big thing, and this comes across in debates all the time, and it can sound entitled, is I just feel like people should not feel entitled to play games with people. If a group wants to just play with themselves and they're not hogging a court, let them play in their group. If that's what they want to do, just let them play in their group. If they have an opening, awesome. But I just don't think if there is a private group, don't try to split them up unless they're hogging a court. They shouldn't get to just have a court. Yeah. But if they're not breaking any rules, like, I don't know, let them do their thing.
Agreed. Okay. Speaking of things you hate, what is the rule that you hate the most in pickleball? If you have one. If you don't, I'll go first.
Getting banned?
The Spencer game. I figured that'd be one of them.
That's more of a joke. I am trying to think. You go first, and I'll see if I can think of a good one.
I think the only rule that I can think of right now, maybe it's 2. It's the reserving rule, like the whole debacle with Tyson McGuffin and Jay DeVilliers. I thought that was pretty absurd, and I didn't like that. So I think they fixed it, or they're changing it. Another rule that I don't like is when it hits the post and it goes over and it goes in, it's already a fault. Like, I think in tennis, like the post or whatnot is part of the net, a structure, and if it hits the post and it goes in, it's still considered in. And I think I would probably like to get that change, but that is the only rule that I can think of off the top of my head that I hate.
Yeah, I'm sure there is a rule that I'm really not a huge fan of, but the only one that comes to immediate mind is I don't love our serving rules, because I think they're overly complicated. I think they're hard to manage in a tournament.
Yeah.
Clearly with the pros, as you can see, it's hard to manage. People aren't getting called for faults when maybe they should be, or there's a lot of debate about whether it is. We just need something that makes it more simple. I don't love the idea of going to a drop serve, but it sure would take that out of the way. It would be a lot easier.
Tell me, man, I love the drop serve, but it is what it is.
Real quick, Will, just because of time, I did not look at how long this is going to be or how long we currently are. But
no, we'll run through this. We'll run through this.
Let's just skip a couple here.
Okay.
There's a couple that I just want to jump to because I think they'd be good to get to.
Yeah.
What are our personal goals as pickleball players and content creators? I'll let you go first.
Okay. obviously, as a content creator, to make it, for me at least, is to make it my full-time job and income, which I'm slowly getting to right now. I think before I didn't think that as much because maybe it was just self-doubt. I didn't really believe in myself as much. But then, you know, being around you, being around Shay and Kyle and seeing that you guys are doing it, and some of you are already, you know, full-time pickleball and you've pretty much replaced your income, it's been inspiring me and it's kind of like kept me kind of going. So that's number one for being a pickleball content creator. Of course, like being a creator too, like just having fun with it. You know, if I'm not having fun with it, if I don't make a video that I would rewatch myself again, like it's not worth making. So that's kind of my thing about making content, you know, and spreading joy with pickleball. And then I guess playing pickleball really is just to, you know, I guess be the best I can be, as corny as that sounds. But yeah, playing as well as I can and reaching my potential and playing better players. So that's really it is for me. What about you?
Yeah. I'd say for me, content creation goals next year, I guess we'll just call this a company because that's essentially what it is at this point. I would like the Pickleball Studio brand to become much bigger. I'd like the website to be a place people really rely on for reviews. I want the YouTube channel to grow as big as possible and have the highest quality content, reviews, maybe expand a little outside of reviews if I can keep up with everything. But I want to start structuring it as much of a business as I can where, you know, good revenue is coming in. Maybe I'm hiring, you know, you and I have talked about having you do some work to help me out and get you involved. I would like to see more of that and just continually putting out the best content I can while also keeping it fun so I don't burn out, as well as keeping my integrity very high. I feel like that is like whenever I'm making something, that is like very much at the forefront of my brain, is like it needs to be honest. It can't just be about money. Like, even if that means I'm going to make a little less money right now, that is highly important to me, and I hope that's something I don't lose sight of.
Yeah, no, I'll keep you in check. No doubt. It'll be easy.
You will. And then as far as pickleball, I mean, if by the end of 2023 I was a high-level 4 or 5 player, that would be nice. But again...
You know that's impossible.
hey, the duper is 428 right now. I don't think it's impossible. To be honest, I think what I have to start doing is I need to stop referring to myself, being serious for a second. I need to stop referring to myself as a 4-0 and treating myself like a 4-0 and start venturing out and going, okay, I can play these 4 or 5 players, or even just playing them more in general. You know, a lot of people in my area are kind of in that weird in-between point that I am as well. And so I think I just need to make the decision to kind of jump up instead of like limiting myself. So I think even for Arizona, I might play 4 or 5 singles, and I know I'm going to play 4 or 5 doubles with your friend Justin. So
heck yeah,
maybe that'll be a test to see if I'm there yet or not. I don't know if I am, but
yeah. All joking aside, I think you got it. I mean, you went head to head with Denim Demon, and he went to another tournament and played 4 or 5 singles and won. He got a gold. He had a second golden ticket qualifier, and you went head to head with him. So all kidding aside, like I definitely think you're there. So
yeah,
that's good
for sure. One of the next ones I wanted to chat about is what are we looking forward to the most in 2023?
Okay. I'm looking forward to obviously making more content with you, competing with you, going to more tournaments. And then I want to see how like the whole space shakes out, MLP, PPA, APP, and seeing those matchups that we didn't really get to see all of 2022, and just all the new blood that's coming in, even all the tennis people, Noah Rubin, Sam Query, you know, if I see Jack Sock in another event, like that'd be sick.
Yeah. No, I agree with those. I think for me, I'm definitely looking forward to traveling, making more content, you know, hanging out with my friends. I think the biggest thing in my mind is just continually building out this whole business. Like I don't think, like recently I have really understood how much I enjoy this, because when I'm not doing it, all I can think about is wanting to build this more. Like I'm like thinking about a paddle review I should be doing, a video idea. Like it kind of drives me a little crazy when I'm not doing it. So I think I'm just looking forward to doing more of it.
That's what's up. All right. Anything else, or what's the next question you wanted to move to?
Yeah, I'm looking at a couple of them. Top pros using subpar paddles. Why do they do that? Well, first of all, you guys have to understand pros pretty much just use what they are paid to play with. There are a lot of people, I'm not going to name the companies or the players, but there are a lot of people who do not like the paddle they're using, and they're doing it because of the money. And there are also a lot of people who are not pros that defend these paddle companies because a certain pro uses the paddle. And I can tell you right now, there are a lot of those. There are a lot of those pros that don't want to be in the contracts. And then there are some that don't seem to hate the paddle, and I genuinely wonder how they're using it. So just keep in mind, a lot of times it's money. You know, I've talked to enough pros. I know generally which brands they prefer or would prefer to be on, and it's about 2 brands is generally it. There are some ones outside of that, but yeah, I mean that's my reasoning. I don't know if you have anything you want to contribute to that.
No, I really had no thoughts on the subpar paddle use. I really just think it comes down to either money or what they like. That's really what it is. Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Next question.
A really good one is it healthy for a sport to grow this fast, and will there be a bunch of burnout? And I wanted to add one little thing to the end of this. You can also have burnout, which I think people are experiencing. The word I want to use or talk about is it going to be a fad? And I have a couple thoughts on this. So everyone right now is very much in a pickleball is never going to go down. It can only go up. It is the best thing ever. It's only going to get bigger and bigger. I think it's going to get bigger and bigger. I think eventually that growth is going to slow down a little bit. And I also think there is a chance where it hits a peak and maybe doesn't, and maybe pulls back a little bit. To me, it reminds me of, stocks a little bit, where it's like, yeah, everyone is riding this high and can only see up. But I think there is going to be a small pullback at some point. I just don't know when. And maybe that's just me being a little afraid and like trying to plan for the business side of things. Like if it pulls back, what am I going to do? But I do think right now it's growing at such a crazy pace and everyone's obsessed with it because, COVID had us all bottled up and now there's all these social things. I don't know. I'm maybe not as optimistic as everyone else. I don't think it's going to crash and burn, but I think to only assume it has upside and never any downside, I think that's a little crazy.
Yeah, I would agree with most of that right there. I think it's growing. Is it healthy? I think so. Like once it gets to a sustainable place and level, when there's enough products out there that, like basically there's not enough supply for the demand that we have right now. And the thing is that the demand is growing, right? And supply is also growing, trying to keep up with the demand, but eventually we'll reach a point of equilibrium, and you might see, a little bit of a plateau, and, but I don't think it's going anywhere. I think it's here to stay for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think pickleball is going to go away, but I do worry that there will be a little bit of a pullback. I don't know how many years that's going to take before this buzz wears off, but I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
At
We'll
some
see.
point.
We'll see.
All right. Well, I will scan through here real quick, but if you have any questions that you really wanted to answer, feel free to pull them up, and I'm going to scroll through the list.
Okay. Well, let's see. Let's give a shout out to Mr. Jeff Lee Pickleball here. He's just asked us, what's one innovation that could possibly show up on future paddles within legal limits?
My personal opinion is that the rules are going to change at some point. I think USAP is going to be so pressured to change that the rules are going to bend a little bit, and that's where we're going to see more innovation, is my thought.
Okay. Yeah. My thing right now for innovation, if the rules don't change, is dealing with the flexibility at the throat of the paddle, where the handle meets the face of the paddle. Because if that can flex a little bit, then you open more realm of possibility to, I guess, create more powerful paddles that don't go against USAP guidelines, right? And then if it flexes, you can have some more of that springy effect, or they can dwell on the paddle face a little bit longer. Maybe you can shape it more. So that's where I think some innovations could come within the next year or so.
Yeah. And I think there are going to be things that companies are going to focus on, I believe, in 2023 are build quality. I think you're already seeing it. The upcoming Carbon 1Xs are built really solid. I think Yola is going to fix the issues that they have. there's just a number of other companies, 6-0 Legacy, that are already building some what appear to be really rock solid paddles, and I think you're only going to see more of that because it has been such a complaint as of recently. Will, I got a good one I just found. What do you consider to be your biggest strength and weakness when playing? And I know exactly what mine are.
Oh, really? Why don't you go first? I have to think about it just a little bit.
I feel one of my strengths is that I'm very fast, so I can get to a lot of stuff, and I feel that I'm pretty good at resetting the ball and keeping things in play, and I think the speed comes into play there. And by far my biggest weakness, it's not even close, is my hand speed. I still flinch a lot at the net because of that eye injury. I'm still trying to work on that. I don't think my hand speed is slow. I think physically I can get to the ball, but I think the anticipation of where the ball is going to go, and when I see people winding up for big enough things, it just makes me flinch. Where a lot of the pros, they'll literally just get down and hold their paddle there. Sometimes I'll just turn around. So that to me is my biggest weakness for sure.
Okay, so my biggest strength, I would say my agility is pretty up there, and I think my my returns. I think I have some of the better. I think I personally feel like I have some of the better returns, at least in the rec play and the people around me. Even people I play against, I really go for a lot on my returns. I really hit my spots, so I'm really proud of my return. Let's see, my biggest weakness is that sometimes I do a little too much. You see some of the shots that I try and hit, some of the scoops and whatever. When I get them, they feel amazing, but there's some times where I'm messing around too much or I'm not playing good pickleball. I just get burned. I get burned so much, but I don't know.
I think that I would just having watched you play, there are definitely times where you go for a goofy shot, or it'll be an amazing trick shot if you hit it. You just probably aren't going to hit it.
Yeah, I'm probably not going to hit it, but I want to hit it so bad, especially when I'm playing against you. I'm like, oh, I got to hit this against Chris. Oh, gosh, the satisfaction, the dopamine that's running through my brain and my body right now would just be so amazing.
It's worth it even if you only hit it 1 out of 10 times on me.
That's right. That's how worth it is. The return on investment of making that shot is just far too great to ignore.
Yes.
Okay. All right.
Honestly, for me, I think that answers most of the really good questions. I think we've probably hit just about an hour or a little over. So if you have a couple more that you think are really good, we could dive into them.
I do. I definitely have 2 more that actually at least 3 more. We'll go 3 more that I definitely want to go. This next one is pretty fun. Also from Jeff Lee. If you only had one video game to play for eternity, which would it be?
Valorant for sure.
Oh, Valorant? Oh, okay, let's see. For me, it would probably be Super Smash Bros. Either Melee or Ultimate. If I had to choose between the two, I think I would probably choose Melee, even though I don't play Melee anymore.
Yeah.
But that would probably be the one.
Yeah, that's a pretty good pick.
Yeah, and if you guys didn't know, if you ever watch some of my rec play games on the sound effects, a lot of those come from Super Smash Bros. That's where I get a lot of the sound effects. All right. Yeah. Here's another one. What ethnicities are we? Somebody as Real Choi is I can't figure out if Chris is Asian or not.
That's really funny. I've definitely heard that before.
Wait. Before you go, I think there's a question. Zaid asked me, what kind of Asian is the best Asian? Just pretended. I thought that was hilarious.
Yeah, I saw him put that in there, and I was like, I think if we answer that, we're gonna get canceled. I was like,
no, we're not gonna cancel. He was joking. The best type of Asian is the type of Asian you are. We'll keep it there.
yeah, exactly. There you go.
Okay. Well, you should go first. Are you Asian?
I am just a mix of white and Chinese. My dad is from Hong Kong, and my mom was from America.
Funny enough, though, people think that we're Filipino.
I know. I've heard people say that about me, and I'm like, dude, look at my skin. I'm like, no, Will is 4 shades of darker than me.
Okay, so for me, I get, because I get Filipino all the time for as long as I can remember. And I have a lot of Filipino friends. But Chris, you do look like, I guess, Filipino TV personalities, because a lot of them are lighter skin complexion. So
yeah,
I'm kind of not surprised. But I'm Cambodian, if some of you guys don't know. So that's what I am. I'm Cambodian. Chris is half Chinese and half white. But yes, he's Asian.
I am indeed Asian. That is, I don't know. I was going to make a joke, but I'm not going to make a joke.
Probably better.
We're not going to make a joke.
Okay.
All right. I'm just going to see if there's one more. Actually, we'll end on this one because this will give some teasers for upcoming.
Okay.
All right. Last question I got is any guests you want to have on the pod in 2023? Will and I are definitely going to put more of a focus on getting guests in 2023 and sprinkle those in. Don't want to have guests for the sake of having guests, but there are a number of people that I want to have on the podcast that I think you guys would find entertaining. And because I haven't asked a lot of them yet, but I think they'll probably say yes. I won't say most of them, but one of them for sure is Zane. Zane, you know what? I'll just put this out here. Zane has been begging to be on the podcast. He has asked me several times, dude, why am I not on the podcast? Dude, when are we going to have a podcast? So, Will, you and I have the power over Zane right now. Let's make that very clear. We hold some cards. But yeah, Zane is
he owes us
one of them. And there are a lot of other big name pros we'd like to have on, and I think would be fun. And even having paddle companies on here, I've got some I'm already eyeing that I want to get on here, have them tell you about why they think their paddles are better, maybe some of the design process, just get you guys more familiar with the companies and their thought process behind things.
Heck yeah.
Yeah. How about you, Will? Do you have any one person?
One person that I would like to have on the pod?
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask the homie, Jay DeVilliers, the Flying Frenchman. I think he'd be on the pod. He's been in a couple of my videos. I've hit with him a couple of times. Cool guy. So I would just like to have him on. I would like to have him on specifically because obviously he's French, but then I want other players from other countries to be on the pod as well. I know I mentioned to you, maybe we'll ask Sarah Burr. I think she's from Australia, because I really want to know what the scene looks like in other countries, and if it's growing as fast or if it's as big as a craze, or if people are just as addicted to pickleball as they are here in the States. Because obviously here in the States, it is just, you can't, I don't know, go anywhere without hearing about it or knowing somebody who plays. So I think that'd be curious to see,
Totally. No, those are good. All right, we will leave you guys with that. This is officially the last episode of the year. Again, we would really appreciate if you gave us a 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Even if you're not on those platforms and you listen on YouTube, we'd appreciate it if you just hop over there and give us a rating. Just search for the Pickleball Studio Podcast on Google. And it'll
Thank you for listening. We really appreciate it. We'll catch you next year, and Happy New Year's.
Yeah, Happy New Year. See you guys later.
See ya.